Hey all, hi. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about shopping struggles so far in my life, what it's like to be on a no buy and how it's affecting me so far. So I hope you're into that, okay? For those who are new, this is mostly a book channel, but I have launched a no buy year, and I've been really enjoying connecting with you all about our struggles with not buying things. I'm doing it because I want to be more content in my life and foster contentment in my life rather than buying and being a bottomless pit of buying. So if you are liking the vibe, I would encourage you to subscribe, stick around. Without any further rambling on, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. In my last video where I checked in about how things were going, I mentioned just feeling a little weird, or I was kind of freaking out about my book club meeting because I didn't want to not be able to read the book that we picked. And I didn't want to be a problem for the book club. Not that they would ever say that I was a problem, but I didn't want to speak up saying, hey, that book is the book that we chose, the book that sounds most interesting, that everyone is excited about, I cannot access and therefore I cannot read. Now, I mean, it would be such a rarity for that to even happen. It's like my brain just decided to create a problem and run with it. But I had some of these trepidations and feelings and concerns going into the book club because we were picking our next book or books we were picking books for the next couple of months. And I just had those worries. I think I was just concerned about being an issue. But really it was me. Like, I was putting that pressure on myself. So we met, book club met, we chose books that were incredibly easily accessible. We actually, for those curious minds out there, we chose A Curious Beginning by Diana Raybourn, I believe, which I read and finished. I will give more detailed thoughts in a wrap-up or something. It was cute. Overall, it was cute. Not without its problems. There's quite a bit of suspending disbelief, but overall a cute, fun read. And then we also picked the first book in the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, which I have on my Kindle. And I can't access it at my library. They might have an ebook, but they don't have a physical book of the first book in the Broken Earth trilogy. Anyways, I'm sure I could bring this to the attention of our acquisition librarian and she would purchase it because they have the other books. And usually when I point something like that out to them, hey, you have a hole in the collection because, you know, you have the third and fourth book, or the second and third book in a series, second and third book in a series, but we don't have the first one. It's a good thing to point out to one's librarian or to email the librarians because they're going to want to make the whole series accessible for patrons, especially the first book. So I know that I could have resolved that. And so, you know, all that worrying for nothing. But again, it was nice to have everything resolve and not be a big deal. I think maybe I make a bigger deal of things than they actually are. Maybe that's telling. Book club was Saturday. I took notes. Nothing happened on Sunday, apparently. It was just a stable, routine day, which is indicative of our Sundays. Our Sundays are very stable, routine-oriented. So Monday, I noted that the library was still a struggle. In my last video, I had admitted to you all that I saw the library as a place to purchase. I would make a beeline to the very tiny corner wherein they sell books. Books are $1, DVDs. And I would often spend most of my time, my library time, in that corner trying to find something to buy. Most times I don't find anything to buy, and then I help my children pick books, we get them, move on. But that's where I spend most of my time, which is kind of sad. So I admitted in that first video that I kind of freaked out, that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't use a library sale corner, blah. Like I was just having a moment. And so this time on Monday, I went back to the library, and I still had that ping of, oh no, like what if I find the perfect book? And that's really what it boiled down to. One, I think it was habitual. Me going to that sale corner, looking for books to buy for $1, tra-la. It was a habit that I had gotten into, and I had to break the habit. So that it is uncomfortable, breaking a habit that you're so used to or wasn't even aware of in a lot of ways. But then the other thing was that I think I had been telling myself over and over and over, and I figured this out through journaling and sort of thinking about it for a couple of seconds, that what if I find the perfect book? The book that I've always wanted, the book that has my name on it, a book that I've been looking for, the perfect book, the one opportunity for me to buy the perfect book. What if that shows up in the library sale corner and I can't buy it because of the no buy? Then I will have missed my greatest opportunity to buy the perfect book, and then my life will never be fulfilled. I will always remember the book that I couldn't buy, and my life will be ruined. And so, it's kind of sad. I think that just normal marketing like sales and the idea of scarcity mindset, it's only there for a certain amount of time. If you don't buy it now, and this happens with clothing, with makeup, with homewares, all these kinds of things, special edition, anything, books, makeup, clothing, shoes, special edition, limited run, all of this is so ingrained that the library doesn't even have to market itself in that way. And I put those marketing filters in my brain, and that's how I am looking at the used book section of the library. And I thought that was really interesting, the way that marketing is ingrained in each person, and that I'm creating my own scarcity mindset, thinking if I don't buy this right now, I will never be able to buy it. Now that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous, because there are now more than ever the ability to buy a rare title is so accessible because of the internet and because of how things are being sold and people trying to sell items. Now, granted, very, very rare things, that's a whole nother story. Actual rare things is another story. But titles that you come across, that I come across at the library that I want, I could buy in a year from now on thrift books or at a used bookstore when I'm searching for that title. And so it was interesting to see that, again, I was putting a scarcity mindset glasses over there. I was like, I am making my own scarcity mindset when I go into the library and seeking with that mindset, which is just odd, by the way. So I remember going into the library and having sort of a ping of, oh no, what if I find the perfect book and I can't purchase it? And I've been to the library a couple of times since that Monday. I go a lot, and it's been fine. Like, I feel like I've talked myself down from that scenario, and I can go to the library with more peace. Now, actually, it was so funny, and Ted wanted me to share this with you because he thought it was hilarious, but I reserve a lot of books at the library. So, I don't usually go to the desk. I grab my library books in their holds section. There's a whole section dedicated to when you put a book on hold, and all patrons can access them, and then I go to the self-checkout, punch in my library number, and check out the books, and then leave. So there's not a lot of interaction between myself and the librarians. I don't know, because I just find that I like to check out my own books. I like to get my own books from the holds section. But anyways, there was a situation a few days ago in which I had to speak to the librarian. And they were like, oh, you have some items on hold. They were DVDs, so they're not in the regular section. They're like behind the counter so that nobody touches them. And they were like, do you know the last 4 digits of your library card? And I said, yes. And I said, it's 24444. And both of the librarians who I've seen with my own eyes, I know who they are, spoken to both of them. They were like, oh, you. They're like, oh, it's you. You put a lot of stuff on hold. And I was like, I do. And they're like, typically, they were like, there is only about 10 or 12 of y'all, but when we see someone's number, we're like, oh, that's Jenny. Jenny got this book. But with you, we only know your number because we don't interact with you. And I was like, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm 24444, and so I think in a weird way, what I got was that they were delighted that they could put a face to the number that they're always putting books on hold for. So I thought that was funny. They're like, wow, we know you, or at least we know your reading taste. I put a ton of children's picture books on hold. My boys, we often order books for my boys, and then sometimes for me, not always for me, but a lot of it is children's picture books for my kids and for me. And because I try and keep up in my own weird way with the children's picture book market, and a lot of books for my children, and then again a couple of books for me. But I say a couple, and here I am in the top 10 or 12 patrons putting holds in on the library. So that was a really cool interaction. And so now I'm learning. I'm with every moment, every time I go to the library. Even the last time I was there, I kind of looked at the sale corner, not with the temptation to buy, but just to look for looking's sake. But connected to the library, I wanted to share a moment of gratitude that my oldest son has been a little reading fiend. He's been reading, and I love it. Ted and I, my husband Ted and I, we model reading. We read all the time. We read to the kids. We encourage them to read, but we don't want it to be a place where we force it at all. We don't want to set incredibly high expectations on our children to be readers, but a gentle encouragement here and there is what we're trying to do, to create great readers in our household. And Graham, my oldest, had some questions about reading. He was like, can we go to the library and pick out some books? And I was like, of course. And then again, instead of getting distracted by the sale corner, I was able to totally focus my attention on him and what he wanted. And what was funny is that I came across a choose your own adventure book. One of those kinds of books. I don't think it was the actual branded ones, but that's neither here nor there. And I was telling him how it worked. You get to a page, you choose which way you want the story to go, which decision you think will be best, and you jump to that page to continue your quest. And then I was sort of like, we had a couple books in our hands, and he was he was being a bit of a naysayer. I don't know if I want that. That doesn't sound very pleasant, so on and so forth. And so I told him how the Choose Your Own Adventure book works. And he was so funny because he was like, well, that sounds interesting. And I was like, well, I'll just put it back on the shelf. We don't need to get it. And he was like, no, let's get it. And, it was so cute. And then we got back home and he devoured that book first, and it was fantastic. And so a couple of afternoons this past week, he has spent an hour, 45 minutes reading on his own as his choice of what he wants to do for the afternoon. And that's been really, really delightful as a mom, and as somebody who, a mother who loves reading. So anyways, that was just kind of my about about my kid that I wanted to share, and just the joy of that. I have another Monday note, and it is about boring purchases. So on Monday, I purchased cold press watercolor paper. I was learning about the different kinds of paper you can use for watercolors, and I didn't have, not that I didn't have, I was running out of the current watercolor paper that I was using, and I wanted to know the other options out there. So I landed on cold press watercolor paper, and as I was buying it, I bought it online, and usually I would sort of want to sneak in a purchase, just a little something cute, a little something I can wear, maybe a little book for a couple dollars. But I was like, nope, you're sticking with the boring purchase, and that, it's been fine. It's just not been my way, I'm usually kind of trying to put together like a cute order, an order where everything is there's a little vibrancy, a little cuteness. Getting paper is not a vibrancy cuteness moment. It's just paper. And to be content with the paper. And so the paper has been great. Been using it, learning how it works, lots of mistakes. But what's amazing is that if I had bought a top, if I had bought a lipstick, a lip liner, there's a likelihood that I wouldn't have even used it, because I have plenty of those. What I don't have, and what I was running out of but using quite often, was watercolor paper. So it was actually like a smart purchase and something that I can put to use immediately. And I have. And then on Monday, I also deleted a couple of incredibly addictive apps that I tend to doom scroll on. And I just was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to not have super addictive apps on my phone, because it's time. So I deleted my top time sucking apps I've deleted. Because I'm just tired of it, and I want to just have a healthier relationship with my phone. So that happened on Monday. On Tuesday, I made a purchase, but I made a purchase for something I quite believe in, and it was for a channel membership. There are a lot of YouTubers out there that have Patreons and channel members things, Substack, and occasionally I put my money towards those creators that I want to support. And I support people in so many different ways, but that I want to financially support. And I don't know, I think that sometimes when I'm only buying for myself, the treats for myself, I'm not necessarily thinking about things that I actually believe in. Supporting creative people with a small audience. And I remember on my last no buy that was something that clicked for me. Here I am saying or believing that I want to support somebody who has an artistic endeavor, that they are struggling to get off the ground, or that they are aspiring to get off the ground. People that I love to watch. There are people that I love to watch, and I don't want them to go away. So why not put my money towards that? In all of these different things that I, in my heart, believe in. I want to support other people financially, and yet I don't always take the plunge to do so. And so it's been interesting to align my purchases with my beliefs more. And that even happened this month as I subscribed to somebody's channel member, to their YouTube channel membership program, that now I am doing the thing that I actually believe in, supporting creators so they can continue to do their work. And, that felt really good. That felt really good. We have come to Wednesday. So Wednesday, I said yes to a part in a play. It is a school play. It's actually the elementary school play, and they need an adult to help sort of be a mentor to help the production come together, essentially. And so I said yes to being Maria in The Sound of Music. Okay? This is happening. Yes. I still can't, I don't know, I can't believe I said that to y'all, but I have been keeping the cards a little close to my chest these couple of days. I'm a little nervous and embarrassed, you know, that about, not embarrassed about doing the role, just about so many eyes on me, and the news is spreading through the school. But I said on Wednesday, I said, yes, for sure, I am going to be playing Maria in the school play, and every other actor is going to be a child, but it's going to work out really well because they need like a mother hen for the play, and they thought of me, which I thought was so incredibly kind and sweet, you know, I'm so grateful for the role. And boy, Ted is like bananas for it. He's so excited. So I was thinking about this role, and I thought immediately, I can buy a dress for the production. I can buy something. I'll get this like cottagecore cutesy outfit, you know, fully linen, cottony. I can buy several dresses for the role, and it totally aligns with my own aesthetic, and I'm so excited. And then I was like, girl, you are on a no-buy. You are on a no-buy. You cannot purchase a dress to make you look more like Maria. And actually, you probably have several dresses that already make you look like Maria, because as you just admitted, her style and your style actually align. So you probably have dresses that make you look very Maria-y. And so then I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I had my little tantrum moment in my own heart. I was like, fine. I don't need to buy a dress to be Maria because I already have dresses. I guess that's fine. And, but you know, it's so funny that I had this amazing thing happen. They asked me, they reached out, people at the school reached out and said, can you do this thing? And one of the first responses after excitement was, I get to buy something. It's like, wow, girl, it is so ingrained. It's so ingrained. This knee-jerk reaction of rewarding myself with a purchase, which I find so, so fascinating. Now, the most fascinating thing happened on Friday. Nothing happened on Thursday, apparently, but the most fascinating thing happened on Friday. I had to reset my camera ever so slightly, so things might be a little shifted. I think it's fine. Okay, so on Friday, I knew that I needed to purchase some items for my husband's birthday. It was a pre-planned purchase. I knew exactly what I was looking for. I knew exactly the website I was going to be looking at. I was looking at Quince, and there were 2 to 3 things I knew exactly what I was going to get for him. I just needed to get onto the website, make sure that I got the right items, and check out. And while I was there, I decided to ever so slightly browse the dress department. As you're probably realizing, dresses are a thing for me. It is the most delectable treat for me. I love a dress. And I looked on there, I looked at the women's dress department while I was shopping for my husband, and I saw a dress that aligned with what I imagine Maria from The Sound of Music would wear. And I had this moment where I wanted it. Like, I wanted the dress. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was beautiful. But here's what's interesting. I'm really good outside of my no buy. I'm excellent at telling myself no. I often don't purchase the things that I want. I just let them go. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. That's beautiful. I love it even. But no, it's too expensive. I have plenty of things. I don't want it. And what happened in this moment as I was looking at the dress on Quince was that I felt like I couldn't say no. I felt like my no buy was saying no for me, and I did not like that at all. I wanted to have the control. I wanted to have the autonomy to say no. And in that moment, I would have said no anyways. That's the thing. I wouldn't have bought it. I wouldn't have impulse purchased a $70 dress. That's not like me. Like, I'm actually rather responsible with my finances. But what was interesting is that I did not like that my no-buy was the one saying no. I wanted the autonomy and I wanted the control. And so it illuminated for me that I am uncomfortable giving my control up. Like, it makes me feel like itchy inside my own skin. And it made it, looking at that dress, painful to look at. Even though I know that I wouldn't have actually bought it, I just didn't like someone else telling me no. And it was interesting too, because as the days wore on, actually this was Friday, and as I had journaled about this, I realized how much being thrown off in a way where I feel like I don't have a handle on things, especially during my work day, when things are shuffled around. I'm often lauded, praised for the fact that I'm so flexible. I can just go with the flow. Things are great. And I think that I hear that and I internalize it. And so I tell myself everything's fine when things are thrown off, when things are outside of my control, right? Which happens all the time. I'm a teacher. Happens all the time. Schedules get shuffled. You have to move things on a dime. And on Friday, schedules got shuffled. Things changed on a dime. And that evening, with this new illumination that I don't like it when things are outside of my control, it bothers me on a deeper level than just being able to, like, a pinprick of bother and then moving on. And that night, I ended up having like an honest conversation with my husband about how thrown off I was on that day when a bunch of things changed, and that I didn't like it. I could admit to myself finally that I don't like that. And even though on my face and in my actions, I'm often I can be, pretty stoic, or I'm not even stoic. It really seems like things don't bother me and that I'm letting them roll off. And for a lot of things, they do, it rolls off. But I can also finally admit to myself that when these changes happen and I do feel like things are very, very outside of my control, that it is okay to, it is okay to admit that I'm thrown off and that I'm a little out of whack. And I think admitting that to myself is the first step in the process of being able to understand that it's okay, to come to the acceptance that it's okay when your day gets thrown off, instead of just immediately going to everything's fine, I'm fine. I feel like at that point, when I'm not admitting to myself that I feel thrown off, I'm just putting a Band-Aid over something that needs more than a Band-Aid. I almost want to have to look at what's happening and be like, oh, that's not good. That's kind of gross. And I hope I haven't gotten too abstract here. But I think I just sort of walk along and I'm like, everything's fine. We're good. Everything's good. But instead, I almost want to be like, everything's not good. And I'm really thrown off. And it's going to be okay, because that is more honest. That's more honest to say everything is thrown off. I'm struggling, but I'm working on it. That's a more honest answer to how I'm feeling and how I'm processing than to just go to the other side and be like, everything's fine, everything's okay, when actually in reality, it's not. And to understand that so much of it is when I feel like things are outside of my control. And I felt that first with Quince. And then I felt it more profoundly throughout my school day. And just to be able to process that, like, that's a part of me, and to accept it, and that's really important. So yeah, I guess the no-buy is already showing me things that I didn't really know about myself, or that I didn't really recognize. And it's helping me be more honest with myself. So yeah. How are your no bikes going? I'm getting amazing comments from you all. They are fantastic. I love them so much. And they have been invaluable. I didn't even get to talk about everything I wanted to talk about, but now I have to go to work. So I gotta go because I'm going to be late. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye.